and welcome back into Cullman today. I'm Debbie Wood. Patrick Ray, representing Doyle Real Estate, is with us this morning. We're going to be talking about how to stage your home, how important that is, because we're going into spring. Yay! Finally, this is the middle part of February.
Yes.
And a little bit about different loans, packages that are available, or products that are available out there. Let's talk a little bit this morning, Patrick. I'm just going to ask you a question. You're really good at this, staging your home inside and outside. We touched on this a little bit 2 or 3 weeks ago, but now that we are getting into the springtime, when people are really, really going to start looking and thinking more seriously about buying, how important is it to stage your home?
It's so important, Debbie. You've got the situation where you're going to be looking at several different houses, and if your house is not staged and ready to show, there's a chance that it may be overlooked because somebody else is. And it is one of the most important things in real estate that people sometimes forget to do, just to be honest with you.
Right.
A lot of steps you can do, a lot of little things you can do. You don't have to go in and paint the entire house. You don't have to go in and just strip everything out of it, although the more you can remove, the better. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago. But little things, and I know you've done some of this yourself. You're an excellent interior decorator and know how to do all that. You know, removing the clutter like we talked about, all the countertops, make sure that they're clean.
Right.
Make sure that it's a streamline in your rooms, in your living room. I went and looked at a house for a couple just the other day, and just rearranging the furniture in a different way opened the floor up so you're not walking around furniture, and gave a clean path for people to travel through. It takes away from that distraction. So there's a lot of little things that can be done. One of the best things is, if you can, and some people can't, but if you can go home before the showing is set up, turn the lights on.
Okay.
Have some music playing in the background, whether it's on TV, a radio, a speaker system, something that you might have that's going to accent that also.
Right.
They say take a small thing of tinfoil and put vanilla in it and put it in the oven, set it on 325. It makes it smell like cookies are baking.
Yeah.
And it gives it that home feel when people walk in.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things that can be done to help you set up and stage your home and give it that feel that people want when they walk into your house.
See what great ideas. And the thing about the lights is so important, because if you stop and think about it, when you go in a home, or if you live in a home, I like a lot of light. I'm an outdoors person, I know you are too, and you want a lot of light in there. So at least raise the blinds, open the shutters, leave all the lamps on, this kind of thing. So that's great.
If you're like me, when you raise the blinds, make sure you clean out the windowsills,
Yeah.
because so many times our blinds are closed.
Right.
And that's one thing that gets missed.
Sure.
And people don't think about it. And when folks walk into a house, sometimes they'll raise the blinds if they're not already raised. And then you got dirty windowsills and stuff like that. So the little corners, the little things like that, make sure they're clean, make sure it's a nice clean smell when they walk into the house. If you've got pets, do your best to get them out of the house.
Right.
So that's not a distraction with the dog barking or anything like that. So all those things.
Exactly, that's such good points. So those are the things that you can do, and you know, we want to talk just a second about, before we close up on that segment and go into about our different products, let's talk a little bit about the yards, how important that is, because if you drive by and it looks really good, you're more likely to
Want to go see the house.
Yes. If it's real cluttered and junk in the yard, you're like, ugh.
Curb appeal is the first thing that you're going to notice when you pull up to a house. So what you want is that prospective buyer to get excited when they pull up to your house. You know, make sure your yard is mowed, trimmed. Real important with your shrubs and bushes. Make sure that they're trimmed up in a neat, uniform fashion.
Right.
You know, if you've got bushes that are up in front of a window, make sure they're trimmed down below the window so people can see the window, so they can see what's there. Your bark or your pine straw or whatever the mulch is you're going to use around your house, make sure the weeds are out of it.
Yes.
Make sure that it's fresh, it hadn't been sitting there all season.
You could freshen that up a little bit, couldn't you,
Freshen
before
it
you
up
start
just a
showing?
little bit.
Yeah.
Those little things will pay big dividends for you. One thing is the deck out back. You know, it's been a long winter, been a lot of snow, a lot of rain.
Right.
It may need treated. That's a very cheap and inexpensive way to really spiff up that deck.
That's true.
Put some water seal on it. It's going to make it look a lot better.
It really will on it. So, and just in general, keep everything picked up out of the yard. I know when my grandbabies come over, they want the basketball out, and and they'll just strow, and
well,
they'll
if you
have
got a dog
toys
or a
out
puppy,
there.
they're going to chew
They're gonna-
stuff up. Make
Exactly.
sure you go pick it up.
Yeah.
Get it in a trash bag.
Just-
Get it out of the way.
Before those people come to look. So it does make a big difference. Let's talk about some of the products. I know I have sold a lot of houses, and I've referred folks to, and not just single folks or a young couple, but for USDA loans. Those are still available, is that correct?
That's correct. They are.
How easy is it to get a USDA? Is it based on your income?
It is. It's easy, but things are changing. It is based on your income.
Okay.
It's also based on your credit score.
Okay.
Right now, the interest rates on USDA, FHA, and conventional are going to be somewhere in the 4.25 range. So interest rates are still very good. One thing that you need to know is that if you're going to go conventional, you're probably going to need 20% down.
Okay.
The other thing to take into consideration is a lot of folks are looking at buying foreclosures because there's so many on the market right now.
Okay.
More than likely, you're going to have to go with a conventional loan on a foreclosure. USDA, I know for sure. FHA, you might get by with. FHA, and you're going to need 3 to 3.5% down, and then USDA and FHA, we can usually roll in those closing costs into the loan amount, into the contract amount.
Okay.
Excuse me. But the folks that are looking at buying those foreclosures, there's certain guidelines that have to be met in order for a USDA or FHA loan to make. And one thing is appliances. The other thing is that the heating and air unit must be in working condition.
Absolutely.
We've got a situation on a foreclosure that we were just working with, and the gentleman was approved for an FHA loan. Well, the central air unit, the condenser was out of it. The unit looked good, but it didn't run.
Okay.
So that loan would not work for him. So we had to back up and scramble to try to figure out how we were going to do that. So know ahead of time, go talk to your mortgage lender. Call us at Dole Real Estate. We'll get you in touch with somebody that can help you with that process of knowing what direction you need to go with to get a loan. Because there are things that must be met in order for that loan to be completed.
Okay.
It's very important with like I said, with the conventional, you're going to have 20% down. Now, if you're buying a home that is an owner-occupied home,
Right.
USDA and FHA are probably going to be your best option because you're not going to have to put as much down.
Okay.
You're going to be looking at 3 to 3.5% down.
Okay.
And again, we can usually roll that into the contract price. So
Okay.
there's ways that we can help you make that happen.
Great. Now, on the USDA loans, going back to that one, that is based on your income. So if you make over a certain amount, you do not qualify.
That's
But
correct.
that would be, to me, I think I would recommend my folks checking out a USDA loan first before they do a conventional.
Most
loan
folks are
or
going to
FHA.
know, and I, again, don't hold me to this, I think the cutoff is around
70?
around
is that?
70, 75, I
Yeah.
think. But that's combined income.
Combined,
so,
exactly.
if you're making over that, you're obviously not going to qualify.
Right.
One thing about, and again, between FHA and USDA, there's not a lot of difference other than the time
Okay.
to close the loan. FHA typically goes a little bit quicker. You can do it in usually 3 weeks to a month, where USDA can sometimes go out
Take a little
45,
while.
sometimes 60 days
Yeah.
before it'll close. So depending on what your goal is and how fast you want to get into that house,
Right.
those are some of the things we need to look at.
Okay.
One thing I do want to mention, and it has changed just recently, is the PMI.
Okay.
PMI, it used to be set up that PMI was, you had PMI on your home unless you had 20% down on the property. Or if you bought the house with equity in the house, you
Right.
could have it reappraised after 2 years. And if you had a 20% equity in the house, you could get the PMI dropped off.
Right.
It's now the life of the loan.
It is.
It is the
stays
life
with
of the
it,
loan.
so you can't
it
pay
stays
it
with
off.
it. You cannot pay it off.
And that has just changed, folks. That used to not be that
It
way.
used to not be that way. So that's one thing you might
Wow.
want to look at when you're looking at what type of loan you want to get. How is that going to affect my payment each month?
Mm-hmm.
And now knowing that it's going to be with the life of the loan, you may, if you've got money down or you're saving money up, you may want to make it to the point where you've got that 20% to get the conventional, so you don't have the PMI.
You don't have that.
And there's a
yeah.
lot of things that go into it. How long am I planning on staying in this house?
That's right.
If this is
Right.
going to be a temporary place, 5-7 years, PMI probably is not going to matter that much.
Sure.
If you think this is going to be the home that I'm going to stay in the rest of my life, then you may want to look at other options.
Other options. And folks, you can look at it two ways. I've never been a fan of PMI. and have never had to do that, but because it just seems like it does make your payment more and that you've got to come up with more. But basically, it's just your taxes and insurance, and you've got to do that anyway. And so it's a great way to already have it rolled in there and taken care of. So you don't have to worry about it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And forget to pay it sometimes.
That's
So,
right.
But anyway, such good tips this morning. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, but before we do that, let me say this real quick. Second thought. Those are things that a licensed real estate agent can help you with.
That's correct.
Patrick and I both would be more than happy to help you find and select the right product. And what we do once we get you pre-approved, then we start looking and get really serious and find you something that you will.
And I know we're getting short on time, but let me say this real quick. It is important, so important, to get pre-approved before you actually start looking for a home. Because, and let me tell you why, you don't want to go out there and find the home that you absolutely love, and then find out you can't afford it.
I know.
So,
disappointing.
Come talk to us, because we'll take you to the mortgage lender, get you an appointment with them, go with you if you want us to, if you feel more comfortable.
Right.
Guide you through that process, find out how much you can afford and what you're going to be comfortable payment-wise. Then we can go and start looking at the houses, and that way we can weed out anything that's not going to work for you and streamline that process to help you find the home you're looking for.
Absolutely. And let me give you the numbers. Dual Real Estate, 256-739-1444. Patrick's is 256-708.
1872.
And mine is 256-338-7234. Now, when we come back for our second segment, we're going to be talking about contracts. Contracts, even though I've been doing this for soon to be 8 years, contracts still confuse me. So I know they confuse you. So we're going to talk about contracts and contracts and contracts. We'll be back right after this.